With his humility, we will see how the servant of God lived his life. Arriving in Kalongo towards the end of February 1956, Father Giuseppe certainly couldn't imagine that all of his Comboni missionary service would take place there. To fetch him in Gulu, Father Malandra sent Brother Angelo Avi, accompanied by the teacher Gino Wing, and here was this first surprise. Father Giuseppe insisted on giving up his seat in the cab of the truck. He was more than happy to sit in the back. Brother Avi, who may have been guilty of naivety but said nothing, he would tell it much later. The motto, "Serving is reigning." After finishing his theology course, it was necessary to do so as the Order of Rome. Father Giuseppe settled definitely in Kalongo. He was happy to be part of that missionary community. For him, it was the concrete expression of the institute to which he had chosen to belong, and he felt it as a gift. He considered he would always consider himself and his work as parts of a family, the Combonis, and of a local church project, that of Gulu. What's more, he knew that the Combonis evangelized as a community like a cenacle of apostles. The founder had written in the rules, and this impressed him. Because he loved the family, he considered having a school for midwives that would later help in the family with the communities in Kalongo. School for midwives. Almost 8 years from his university education and final graduation, but with a modest surgical preparation, Father Giuseppe set to work. His first patients were two actually people, one mauled by a lion and another attacked by a buffalo. The Kalongo area is a natural park and seems with ferocious beasts. He spent most of the time at the dispensary, where many patients presented themselves. Father Giuseppe's dream would be to have a school for midwives in the hospital. But nothing is easy in Africa. Meanwhile, in order to be recognized for his degree obtained in Italy and to obtain permission to run a school for midwives, Father Giuseppe had to attend a 1-month course at the obstetric department of the hospital in Mulago, Kampala. Finally, in 1958, with the arrival of Miss Jane Machen, a Scottish doctor who volunteered to work in Kalongo, and Dr. Pietro Tozi, and after the visit of the new governor of Uganda, Sir Frederick Crawford, the school was recognized and the first course could begin. The studies program was based on the English model and included 3 years of study and internship. At the end, the young woman had to take an exam in front of a committee that came on the purpose from Kampala. The diploma issued was recognized for every health facility in the colony and in all English-speaking countries. As a good Samaritan, if Father Malandra had dreamt of a big hospital and wants it at all costs, it remains to be built. So here is Dr. Ambrosoli, to roll up his sleeves and to turn into a laborer. He digs stones, transports them himself with the truck, and takes care of the manufacture of bricks. At the hospital, there is a primary school, and the teacher Camilo Oyara Orik often helps him with his entire school children. Father Giuseppe works tirelessly. He is not afraid to get his hands dirty. The people are surprised at first, then begin to admire him and finally give him a hand. As elsewhere in Africa, also in Kalongo, the hospital takes the form of one-story pavilions, connected by walkways and equipped with large verandas. They allow the circulation of air and easier mobility for the health personnel, but above all for the reception of the family members and relatives of the patients. It was up to the latter to provide the food and cook it for their patients. Father Giuseppe becomes a skilled truck driver. He has to go in person to get the sand and stones from the river or to buy iron and cement in Gulu. But he was honest and realized that he risked being overwhelmed by the activities and forgetting what was essential. And then he stopped to reflect and tell himself, I must try to impersonate the master in me when he was caring for the sick who came to him. If they could see Jesus in me, he immediately understood that to win the hearts of the Africans, he had to use infinite kindness. And so, among the many images described in the parables about Jesus, he found out that the Good Samaritan, the most similar to himself. In that man who became close to the unfortunate left hand dead on the road, who bended over him, wrapped his wounds, and took care of him, Father Giuseppe found the model to follow. He too, with a heart that determined the way to look, judge and act, he felt, sent to do the same. That is, to become closer, more neighborly, and more in solidarity with those who lived next to him and were dependent on him. And in the sick of Africa, Father Giuseppe found treasure he had been seeking. We'll continue from there next time.
The servant of God, Father Joseph, God's servant to the suffering people.